everyone, and welcome. I'm very excited today to present you the latest innovations from the MySQL team from Oracle. Today, we'll be diving deep in the world of databases, and we'll see how we can use LLMs to be integrated with your MySQL database. So to start with, maybe I can introduce myself. My name is Ridha. I'm a senior member of technical staff at Oracle, and I've been working within the MySQL team. And I've been working into integrating LLMs and AutoML models right in your MySQL database. So for the agenda today, I think we'll start by introducing the MySQL HeatWave ecosystem. Then we'll deep dive into the HeatWave GenAI key components within the MySQL service. And then we'll see how we can create a vector store, how we can use LLMs and embedding models within your MySQL database. At the end, I think we'll touch upon how we can use and have a synergy between AutoML, classical AutoML models, and GenAI models. So let's start with the MySQL HeatWave ecosystem. So this is a diagram describing the Oracle Cloud infrastructure, so OCI, the Oracle Cloud. And what you can see is that it has several layers to be integrated and to build your AI application. If you start from the bottom to the top, at the bottom, you have the bare bone of the cloud. So actually VMs, GPUs, clusters, all the key components to build your AI applications. And at the top, you have what we call fully managed services. And MySQL HeatWave is one of them. So MySQL HeatWave is a fully managed service that allows you to create your DB system on the cloud and have it fully managed for you. And this service is well integrated within the OCI cloud, but it's also integrated with other clouds such as Azure and AWS. And on top of that, on top of this fully managed database service, you can build your AI application and have AI services that are integrated with your database. So if we take a concrete example of how people are currently building their AI application, for example, if you are on AWS, what you will typically have is a lot of services that are dedicated to key components. For example, if you need the database for analytic queries, then you'll have Redshift. For OLTP, you'll have RDS. For machine learning, you'll have SageMaker, and so on and so on. So all these services, microservices, will be there to allow you to do specific things. And then if you have an AI application, then you'll have to glue them all together using ETLs. And it's a bit difficult to have all the services and to maintain your AI application. So at Oracle, what we try to do is to have one service, MySQL HeatWave, that allows you to have your MySQL database. But if you allocate a HeatWave cluster to it, you'll have more capabilities such as AutoML, GenAI, having the OLTP, but also the analytic acceleration of your queries. So all of this is built within one single database service and is fully managed for you. One also key component of the MySQL HeatWave service is you have your GenAI capabilities, but you also have what we call the integration with object storage, where you can ingest your documents and have it in your DB system. So for example, if you have PDFs or documents and you want to integrate it within the MySQL database, what you can do is use our Lakehouse integration to do that. And it will allow you to ingest your document and store them in one unified service and one unified database. So if you summarize a bit, we have three main components. Of course, you have a MySQL component with the MySQL Enterprise Edition, where you have also support and all the latest innovation and bug fixes. But on top of that, you also have Lakehouse, which allows you to ingest your documents and have your PDFs and Word documents right into your database and have your query using those ingested and structured data and your SQL queries. You also have the GenAI integration, where you can use and leverage LLMs directly from your database using SQL. And today we'll dive a bit more into this specific use case. So 5 reasons to choose HeatWave. In terms of performance and price, it's the best one on the market. It's very efficient for ingestion of unstructured data. your PDFs and Word documents, for example. It has the latest innovation for MySQL and has support for if you have any problems, you can use support. It has a built-in GenAI integration right into your database, and it's available on several clouds such as Azure, AWS, or OCI. But today, what I really want to talk about is how we integrate the GenAI and the LLMs and the vector stores in your MySQL database. So in a nutshell, MySQL service has GenAI built-in capabilities. It provides you basically a way to use LLMs right into your database. And it also allows you to ingest your documents and then use the LLM with the context of your documents from your database. And I really want to point this out because I think the most important thing when you are using LLMs is to provide them the correct context from your documents. And as we know, LLMs can hallucinate a lot, and have your documents right into your database and the LLMs in the same service is super important. So here we can see a concrete example where you have your MySQL database, where you have a HeatWave cluster too. Your application is running on that DB system, and that DB system also has access to your documents through object storage. So let's say you have PDFs and Words where you have important proprietary data in your documents, and you want the LLM to be aware of those data. So what MySQL HeatWave allows you to do is to build your application, build, for example, RAG on top of your enterprise documents, and allow you to build a fully native SQL application right into your database. Here, I give an example where you have a new way to do semantic search. The concrete example is a course finder application, and you're trying to find the perfect course for you. But what you're trying to do is to do semantic search. And to do that, we make use of the vectors and the embeddings in your database to do the similarity search. And this is like having the support for embeddings and for similarity search is super important for this kind of application. So we have seen adoption of the MySQL HeatWave service in several services, and our customers are very different, but they are all having the same needs, which is using a database, having unstructured data, and wanting also to use GenAI on top of that. All right, so if we go a bit more into the exact use cases and examples, we can start by seeing how we can ingest documents and create our vector store. So typically, having this ingestion of documents is like several annoying and difficult parts. Like, first of all, you need to create your knowledge base, what I call vector store here. And then using that knowledge base, you also need to integrate LLMs from your database and allow the LLM to access the data from your database. But within the MySQL HeatWave service, what we try to do is make all these steps very simple. And all these steps are kind of summarized within two single SQL queries, which are HeatWave load and MLRAG. So what HeatWave load will do is you just provided the location of your documents, and it will chunk, parse, and create a SQL table right out of your documents where you have segments that are just part of your documents that have been parsed and their equivalent embedding. MLRAG, on the other hand, you will just ask the question that you want, and it will try to discover all the vector stores that are available in your database and try to get the perfect segments for context for your LLM. So using only two SQL queries, you're able to query an LLM with the correct context. If we go a bit into the more technical details of this process, for example, when we create the vector store using HeatWave load, it's a highly parallel process where we take your documents from your object storage bucket, and then we parse it using OIT, which is an Oracle parser. We segment it using in HeatWave embedding models, and then we distribute this across the HeatWave cluster to make it very efficient and very fast. So at the end of the day, You provide the location of your document, and you get vector store tables created in your MySQL HeatWave database. So this is what a vector store table looks like. You'll get your document name, the segment that has been parsed from your document automatically, and the corresponding embedding. And once you have this table, you're able to create applications and to use MLRAG, which is natively supported by the MySQL HeatWave service, that will take the corresponding segments and give it as a context to the LLM. So at the end of the day, this is how your new architecture will look like. You'll have a vector processing in your MySQL HeatWave database. And we also have support of several open source LLMs, such as the Llama ones and the Mistral ones. But we also have support within the OCI GenAI service, which allows you to use LLMs from other services right from your database. So if you remember, we have seen like if you were, for example, in Amazon where you have all the services, now within the same SQL service, you'll have everything. You'll have vector processing, document ingestion, and LLM usage right into your database. So if you go into more details into which models we are supporting and what can you do within the MySQL HeatWave service, we basically support the latest open source LLMs on CPU, which means that you will not have any additional cost. All the LLMs will be run within your database, or we also have support for GPU usage where you can use the OCI GenAI service and all the biggest and better models right into your database. So by calling, for example, ML Generate, which is our API to communicate with LLM, you can choose. You can either use CPU-based and smaller LLMs, or you can use GPU-based and bigger models within the OCI GenAI service. Same thing for the embedding models. You have in HeatWave embedding models such as E5 or MiniLM12, which allows you to embed your documents and embed your SQL tables right into your database, or you can choose to use the embedding model from the OCI GenAI service. We have added support for the vector type. So vector type allows you to create and store your embedding right into your MySQL database. So you can either create your embedding from the models that we provide to you, or you can even connect your MySQL database as a knowledge base and have an external embedding model that allows you to create your embedding and store them within your MySQL database. Once you get your vector type, we also have distance function that allows you to do similarity search and construct your RAG application and all the applications that are needed for LLM application. So here I give an example of ML RAG, but we have so many native SQL commands that allows you to interact with LLMs. We have ML Generate that basically allows you to make a LLM call to your LLM provider. We have ML RAG that allows you to automatically retrieve context from your vector stores and get your answer from the LLM. And we have so many other APIs that allows you to automatically build your vector store and build your AI application. But if you look at this example here, we have a single line, command line, ML RAG. Then we provide the question, what is the GDP? And here we give a hint. You can use a certain vector store to get your context. And after a few seconds, we get the answer. The answer will be based on the context that it has retrieved from the vector store, and it will have the correct numbers because it has the correct context. And this is the power of having LLMs within your database. You provide them with the correct segments and the correct context, and then they will give you the correct answer. So having LLMs right next to your data is super important. Rather than having your data being transferred from one service to the other, everything is built within one single service. We also give the option to use RAG with other embedding models, external embedding models. So you can, for example, still use ML RAG, but have your embedding being produced by another service, but being stored in your MySQL database. So it's pretty flexible. You can either run your LLMs within the database. You can run LLMs from the OCI GenAI service, or you can run LLMs from other external providers and just store your embeddings in your MySQL database. So here we just say that, by having LLMs running in your database, you can kind of store the context and store the interaction and the chat within your database. So having LLMs that interact with your database is super important because if you, for example, are building a chatbot, for example, using HeatWave Chat or another interface, you can store your data, store the history of your data right into your database. And if you have documents, you will then provide them with the correct context. So it's super important to have a close interaction between your LLMs and your database. And having one service that does both of them at the same time is pretty useful. So before having this LLM integration, what MySQL HeatWave was also providing is AutoML. So AutoML allows you to build more classical ML models such as recommender system, forecasting, anomaly detection. And what we have seen people when they build their application is this synergy between the two, where you have AutoML models that do kind of pre-processing before providing the correct context to the LLMs. And I'll just show you an example where here we can see all the different AutoML models that we can support within the MySQL HeatWave. So we support LLMs, but we also support more classical machine learning models, as I described before: Rexis, time series forecasting, regression, classification. And the idea here is to have this synergy between the two, where you have AutoML models interacting with LLM as kind of a pre-processing step to feed only the correct context to your LLMs. So you might have, for example, as a first step, an AutoML that does anomaly detection on some logs, detect the anomalies, and then ask the GenAI LLM to explain why this was flagged as an anomaly. So we have seen a lot of synergy between the two, where people were using LLM as kind of an explainer to the prediction of your AutoML model. This is the same example here where we show that you have a first step where for log anomaly detection, where you flag some logs, and then you ask the GenAI and the LLM to explain why this log has been flagged as an anomaly. So if you want to start with the GenAI and HeatWave in general, those are very useful links. You can scan here and you have a $300 start backup package for starting. And then now I think we are done. Thank you very much for your attention. It was a real pleasure to present. Thank you very much.